Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of FaB GaB. And this time we're still going buzzing all about the brand new video that came out and the song itself, of course, for Now and Then. And Tom's showing that I got the 7-inch version here on
There's
clear
nothing to
vinyl.
show.
I have not opened it yet. I'll open it in a video. Woo,
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I hated this cover from the beginning, but I'm starting to like it. I must be getting out of my mind. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the sentiment of the song, the video, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. But, all right.
Not to cut you off, but someone said there's something to do with that cover, that the angle of
Yeah,
it
the
lines up with
angle,
the red and blue
right?
albums. Have you
Right,
heard that?
exactly.
I just
Oh
heard that today.
yeah, there are 7 levels.
Yes.
No, I didn't see that. Just kidding. All right, let me introduce my guests here. We have from the Two Legs McCartney uh, podcast, and also my partner, one of my partners over at Talk More Talk, Tom Hunyadi. Welcome, Tom.
Greetings and salutations, and it's just so fun to be with these fine gentlemen. And I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
be
well, I
fun.
wonder why. I'm all talked out of this. Speaking of Talk More Talk, tomorrow night, a little plug here. Tomorrow, we're going to have a live show again where we're going to talk about Now and Then, but we're also going to have Kit O'Toole, of course, and Ken Michaels, and a special guest that I guess we won't reveal now is going to join us. Talk More Talk,
Mhm.
that's on the Talk More Talk YouTube channel. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live. Okay, and I'm so happy to welcome back my friend Matthew Street from his channel,
Oh,
Matthew
thank you,
Street.
thank you. Happy to be here, Joe. Thanks for the
Yeah,
invite.
there
You
he
know,
is.
whenever I
Yes,
can make it,
there
I
he is.
try to be here.
That one.
Who knows?
Thank you, Joe. Thank
Okay,
you for
thank you,
having
Matt.
me.
Glad you could make it. And of course, last but by no means least, here tonight, I have my friend Beatly Tone of Beatly Tone's Beatles channel. Beatly Tone, that stands for Tony, for Tone.
Yeah,
So
that's
I would
it.
like to say that. And you're from England, and you're the one that's, wow, it's midnight over there, or a little after midnight right now.
It is. It is. Hi everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for asking me back, Joe. And great to be doing the first one with Matt, the great Matt Street.
And Tony, as I said, I'm before we went on live, I'm so grateful to finally get to see you and speak to you in person, almost, almost in person.
There you
It's,
go.
Reciprocated, mate. Definitely.
We're
All
gonna
right.
get him here into a fest one of these years. One of these years,
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
he's
love
gonna
to. Yeah, come
he's
on
gonna
down to a fest.
swim or
Well, someone
boat it or whatever.
someone said on my live stream today, come to the New York Fest next year, and I did think about it, but I guess the only reason that I'd want to come really is just to say hi to all you guys and viewers and all the other YouTubers that'll be there. And I did think about it, but I'm actually going to be in Brazil when it's on, which is unusual. But because my niece is getting married and she's married.
Watch your wallet.
He's married a
Watch your
Brazilian,
wallet.
and we're going out there. And I know what's going to happen because Paul is touring Brazil in a couple of weeks. And I know what'll happen. I'll be in Brazil and he'll be touring in the UK while I'm out there. I know.
Right.
Wow.
I can see it coming. I can
Yeah.
see it coming.
Back in Brazil, I had to say it. I had to say
Yeah.
it. What's the? I can't remember what the thing they keep saying, repeating in that is. What is it? Mushy bum? What is it?
Itchy bum or something.
Itchy
Itchy
bum.
bum.
Bomb.
Itchy
Yeah.
bum. Yeah, one of my least favorite Paul songs, by the way. But yeah. So let's get right into it. We all know the deal. We know about Now and Then, the song and everything, and also, of course, the video. But I think what I wanted to do to start, I'll go in the order around here that I see everybody anyway. Um, just to start with, how about you guys, your general feeling, say, first of the John Lennon demo tape from the late 70s, and then what you thought of the song when they worked on it, the new record, and then the video? I'm curious to see if anything changed or what you thought. Tom, how about starting with you with that?
Well, as I'm not a bootleg person per se, this was pretty new to me. Once we kind of got whispers of this coming out or whatnot, then I was looking in for what I could find for this. Obviously the thing was with this cassette was the hiss, right? So I was trying to find that, but I didn't have any luck. But I did find a demo of John working on it on YouTube, which you can find everything on YouTube. And I gotta say, it's not the best Lennon material that he's ever done, but lyrically, I dug it. I was digging it. Was it for Paul? Was it for Yoko? Was it for May? Who knows? Um, it was okay. It was nothing to write home about, and I'm really surprised that this was one of the options that, or one of the cassettes Yoko gave to Paul and the gang to use, because I've said this before. When I think Beatles, I think energy, right? This demo had no energy to it whatsoever. And how they were able to do and give it some energy was the stroke of genius. So, what they ended up doing with the song, you gotta, stand up and give the guys an ovation for the work that they put into it and make it feel, um, like a Beatle track. And so therefore, I mean, what they did with it, I thought was fantastic. But the demo, yeah, no, not really exciting or anything. And then the video itself, I didn't get. I've been watching it more often now. I only watched it once, that first day, and then later on that night, I started watching it more. But I know you see a lot of these reaction videos, and see people, they're crying and whatnot. You don't know how true or honest that really is. But I didn't really get as emotional as some people did, because I was just so excited about it. And I think maybe one day it'll hit me. I'll get emotional about it. But right now it's just all excitement that we're getting this. I mean, it took me a while to get excited. I had no hope for this song at all. I'm not the biggest Free as a Bird and Real Love fan. But after hearing this song a couple times, and then the excitement from other people, um, namely Mitch Axelrod, who I was talking with prior to recording a show with him. He got me more excited about it. So my excitement level got high, and so love the song, the video. Peter Jackson, the how he was able to incorporate present images, past images, with even further past images was fantastic. So really stroke of genius again on Peter Jackson's part, to be able to, especially my favorite bit from the video was seeing John behind the podium there. Just, yeah, exactly, just going crazy, because they show him from different times, throughout the Beatle days, just behind that conductor's stand or whatever. And then that one shot you see with the John looking into the horizon, that for me just really, maybe if when I do get emotional, that'll probably be the shot. I did find the actual photo that they took from that, and it's a picture of John and Sean Lennon, probably 78, 79, maybe even 80. If maybe some people were saying maybe it could have been from while he was in Bermuda. Yeah, Bermuda. Yeah. So, but the parts I didn't really like how they animated the faces, to make them move. There was a one shot of John from 1980, I think, where they kind of like animated his mouth to say love. It looked like.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
I only saw the video twice. I should watch it a lot more.
Yeah.
But twice was enough. I mean, for
twice.
tears. I don't mean
Right,
bad.
right.
I mean for emotion. All right.
But
I'm sorry.
but I'm just saying, to finish off, Peter Jackson did a far out bang up job. It was better than the Free as a Bird video in my opinion as well. Just all those incorporations from different eras, seeing Ringo drum with his younger self, again, fantastic.
Okay, Matt, let's move on to you. What did you think of the three stages of this?
Yeah, three stages. Obviously I've heard the demo many times before. It was featured on the Lost Lennon tapes, and I'm sure I have a copy of it on a fan club only issue here somewhere. I never thought much of the demo. It was nice to have. It was like a cute little curiosity of John's, like, oh, a cute little ditty. But I never was like a big fan of it. Like, there's so many other pieces of material in the Lost Lennon tapes that I'd much rather hear than listen to his demo of Now and Then. However, nice to have. So I kind of a dirge to me. I'm not putting it down, but I just was never a big fan of the demo that much. But then when the song came out, and as I said in my video, I was very emotional when I saw the little 12-minute documentary. That hit me when that was big build up to the documentary on Wednesday. I did get a little bit emotional for that. The next day when the song came out, as I said in my video, I was expecting the heavens to open up, the waterworks to open. I was going to become a blubbering mess. And I was listening on the Beatles channel, and Chris Carter announced Paul, and then Paul gave the little introduction. And then when the song came on, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When am I going to stop bawling like a baby and crying? And I didn't. And it surprised me a little bit that I didn't. Not that I didn't like the song. It's just like I was waiting for some emotion to hit me, and it didn't at first. But what I found is it didn't happen then. But the more I listened during the day, I was working and I was able to listen. I drive for my job, so I was able to listen like all day as much as I wanted to, streaming it. And as the day got on, I listened to it more whenever I had a chance. And when I started listening to the lyrics. Now the lyrics, some people have criticized them and said they're very simple, they're very basic, and they cut out that middle part of something in the song. I didn't care about any of that. I love the lyrics because they're so simplistic and basic, and yet they're to me, very powerful and very poignant in the simple message that's there. And, I just wrote a couple of lines, like, if I make it through, it's all because of you, stuff like that. Now and then, I miss you. Stuff like that. It's basic and simple, but I think we've all experienced things in our life: heartache, loss, pain, suffering. And those little lyrics, when I started taking the lyrics in and then listening and thinking of things in my personal life that fit that loss, I've lost people and I miss them, or I went through a tough time, but I got through it because of you. You helped, people helped me.
Right.
That's when the emotions started hitting me. When I related it to my personal life, that's when I said, yeah, I get what they're singing about here. I get the message. I see what they're doing. So I love the simplistic, basic lyrics because they speak to me on some level. The song itself, love it. I'm just going to say it. It's a song I think that is what Paul and Ringo did and George back in the 90s did with this, and the help of Giles and whoever. I think the song is outstanding. They took a dirgy demo of John's, not putting it down, and they built it up into something that I think is an outstanding, fitting final single to cap off the Beatles, as it were. And I think the video, to get to your third point, Joe, is fantastic because to me, the song didn't hit me right away. It built during the day, as I said, the personal message and all that, and I grew to love the song. But when I saw the video on Friday, that's when the emotions really hit me. Because taking the song and what they did with it and then putting it with that video that Peter Jackson created, I was sold. So if you want to, as your question related to the demo, okay, meh. The song, yep, grew to love it. And then the video just drove it all home for me. I love this song, and I think it's an outstanding job.
Okay, thanks, Matt. How about you, Tone?
So yeah, I'm not a bootleg guy either, but I'd heard the demo, quite a long time ago, or just on YouTube, and obviously when it was, when we thought that it was going to be now and then, I checked it out again, and as everyone said, the demo is absolutely nothing to write home about. It just doesn't have any, light and shade or anything. It just, it just rolls, and it was unfinished, and it wasn't particularly well played on the piano and that sort of thing. So when they announced that they were doing it, I was kind of quietly optimistic about what they would do with it, basically because as we learned more and more about it, it seemed to be taking shape, and you could kind of imagine it taking shape with Paul saying, he's done a new bass to it. Ringo's drummed on it. They've got strings on it, and you know what? Paul McCartney, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and I was quietly confident that it was going to be good. When we actually got the song, it can't. Although the song is not, this is not a Strawberry Fields or an I Am the Walrus or anything like that. We know that, and it's unrealistic to think that it could be, but it turned out much better than I thought it was going to be, and I was really, really pleased with how it had turned out, and sort of proud of them, and it was that kind of feeling. And I don't know if this is a worldwide expression that or whether it's just a British expression, but we have this expression that says you can't make a silk purse out of a sow.
Yes, I've been saying that, but you
Right.
can
Yeah.
in this case.
And I said on my video, they say you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear unless you're the Beatles. And they can. So I was really pleased with how it turned out. The 12-minute documentary, obviously, the big moment was just hearing John's isolated vocals when they played that. It just sounded stunning and sort of made hairs on the back of your neck stand out. So I was very happy with the song. The video, I just thought was just fantastic. There's just so many moments on it, and Peter Jackson, he captured all different aspects of the Beatles in that video. First of all, I think the song has got more meaning when you see it in context with the video. Like little moments when John and Paul sing together, "I Miss You." It then kind of cuts. The next image you then see is George and John at Shea Stadium. Was fantastic. I loved all they captured not just the emotional side, but he captured the fun side of the Beatles, and the Beatles were about fun. So there's lots of messing about, the taking away of the symbols and that sort of thing, and John dancing and all the rest of it. I just thought it was really good. The most poignant moment was the final bow at the end, where it just fades away, into nothing, just leaving the three mics and the drum kit on the stage, just finally bringing the curtain down. And the kind of the message from that is, well, that's it, folks, and that's it. But yeah, it's been a hectic week, but it's been great watching the events of this week and being involved with the events of this week unfold.
Yes, it's great to be a part of this now. It's happening again. Is that Tom?
Joe, I just want to interrupt something real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
because somebody, I don't understand why people still don't know this, but yes, Jeff Lynne was given a credit.
Yeah,
on
that's
this,
right. Somebody said that.
Jeff Lynne right there, right under Paul McCartney and Giles Martin, additional production by Jeff Lynne.
Yeah.
So
Somebody said
he has been credited. He has been credited. So
yeah.
Right. Thanks.
all
Well, I guess I should have really got to a lot more questions. I'm sorry if I pass you up. I can't get everybody, but ask again if I can't get your question. All right. I just want to say, I'll make it pretty brief. I never liked the demo, the original Lennon demo. To me, it was bland, monotonous, slow. He wasn't singing his best on it really at all. He didn't. He was just doing something, I think, for himself. This wasn't anything he was going to release or anything. He was just knocking it off at home on a personal cassette tape, right? So what did we expect out of it? We're lucky to have it. But I did never liked it, and then I said, "There's no way." I really didn't believe they could polish this up. I didn't know how they were going to do it. I had my doubts, and people were telling me, especially Lee Sana. There's a shout out for him, where he was saying on my live stream, he's like, "What, do you have no faith? This is the Beatles we're talking about. This is Paul McCartney." He said, "You don't have any trust Paul?" And I'm like, "Well, I do, but Paul's done some things that I not crazy about, that misfire. He meant well on Magical Mystery Tour. He meant well on Broad Street. Those are movies, and I could." We could nitpick other songs or albums or whatever. But anyway, I was hoping with fingers crossed, but I didn't see it happening. Then when I heard the actual song, I liked the song that they came up with. And there's a line missing from there. People are going to bring it up. I think it's something about "I don't want to lose you"
Yeah,
or "abuse
confuse you,
you," something like
abuse
that,
you or
Yeah,
confuse
use
you.
you and
or
abuse
"confuse
you.
you."
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
thinking, I mean, I don't know. There's versions going out there now where fans have put that in to this to see what
Mm.
how it flows or whatnot. And I just think it doesn't fit the song as they were going to, in my opinion, as they released it. You're talking about abusing you and and all this confused.
Mm.
Because to me, it's like the song. I liked it, didn't love it, but I liked it much better than the demo. And I thought it was a totally different thing. I might not even think, if I didn't know better, I wouldn't even know that it was the same thing, taken from the same source.
Right.
Mm.
Um, what else can I say about that? Well, by the time I got to the video, that was it. I mean, I was in Oklahoma. Tone said how he was going to his niece's wedding in Brazil. I had to go to Oklahoma for my niece's wedding. I just got back, and it was all during this Beatles blitz where all this stuff's coming out. So I managed to get to a store. I managed to buy a record, and while we were there, my girlfriend and I, we in the store actually, we actually had on the phone a chance to watch. We set it up on Target on the quiet spot on the side, and we watched it. And I got tears in my eyes right away. I was like emotional right away. I felt everything about the video. I thought it was expertly made. I was almost gone a little bit from the beginning when they were in the studio in '95, I guess. And George, who's always known to be kind of grumpy and about it, because
Early. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
him and Paul looking at each other, he smile. George doing like a little smiling. I love to see George
Yeah.
receptive to it, kind of like almost enjoying himself, you know.
Yeah.
I was crying. I say crying. I got my eyes welled up. I didn't, you know. I'm an emotional guy, and but my girlfriend, I'm really amazed, was completely blubbering and took her glasses off, and she was wiping tissues, blowing her nose, the whole
Mm.
thing. And then later on, when we were a couple of days later, or a day or two later, when we were coming back, we were at the airport. And we had time to kill, so we got something to eat in a restaurant. She said, "Let me see that video one more time. I want to see." So we put on the restaurant table. I put it up there again. Woo, she's completely like crying. I mean, some people think it's too far. I know Tom said, "Is it real?" Oh, it's real. Let me tell you, for those that are crying. But
I'm talking
yeah.
about those reaction videos.
Oh, the reaction
Oh.
videos.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't
Can I
seen.
just? And when you're done, Joe, I gotta say something about
Yeah,
reaction
yeah. You
videos.
hold that thought. I don't want in case I forget, because I didn't see any of these reaction. I'm sorry. All right. Well, and what can I say? I thought technically it was masterful. I forgive Peter Jackson for what he did to King Kong after this. I think he's really he's becoming the man. Tony often says that he's like almost the guy we're trusting as the Beatles guy, our Beatles guy. He's now
Yeah.
working for the Beatles
Yeah.
and Beatles
Yeah.
fans.
More. Bring
And
us more.
and Paul, I said, if this turns out to be, disappointing, he's going to have to own it. But now he owns the applause, and I give him all the respect and credit. He's a professional from teenager to 81 years old. He still
Hmm.
knows how to do it. He knows what to do, especially when it comes to the Beatles legacy. I think he did a great job. I can't go on and on about it. I just feel it's a love letter. It works so many ways to the fans in a way, like, uh, you know, but also at the same time, of course, paying tribute to John and George, the bookends of their career finally ending properly, doing the bow. I like the
Hmm.
old footage, and the part that got me the most was when you saw, because I didn't expect it, when you saw Ringo and Paul today singing, and then
Mhm.
John and George come in. That's the part where I got the most emotional the first time.
Didn't
Hmm.
that you guys ever watch any of those Steven Ricks videos where he's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I
I
have, but I never thought of
I
that.
almost
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. They're
it felt
funny.
like
That's
that.
quite pretty
Yeah.
funny stuff. Yeah. It did.
Yeah,
You're right, Tom. It had that vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, homework. So anyway, hated the demo. Yeah, I did. I didn't just. I hated the demo. I don't. Liked the song itself when it was finished. Loved the video, and the video to me is one of these cases where it makes the song. I now love the song through loving the video.
Mhm.
and I think it's only going to grow and grow and grow for me. I love the guitar work, the slide guitar that Paul does, right, in tribute
Yeah.
to George, kind of, his style. I love it, and it has a little bit of a spookish sound, but it's also bittersweet and melancholy. I love the whole thing, and it's getting better all the time for me.
Great.
But Matt, you wanted to say something about the
Yeah, if you
reaction?
guys could humor me for a couple of minutes here, because speaking about like people doing reaction videos and all that, I skimmed through quite a few to see how kind of people that aren't normally like Beatles people here, just like random people that go on and do reactions or go on and say, I'm going to review this song and that. And I almost gave up on humanity. I almost gave up on it because I watched a few and they were just so absolutely pissed me off, if I may say so, because there was a couple. I'll just give you one specific one, though. There was these two younger guys. They had to be probably, if you're in your 30s, what generation is that? Is that millennial or X or Y or Z? What is that if you're in your 30s?
Millennial, I think. I think it's
Is that
millennial.
millennial? All right, so millennial. These two millennials are sitting there, so clueless, and they're like, so as they start watching that, and they come and they can't even let the video run that long. They only can go like 10 or 15 seconds before they have to stop it and say some inane comment. But they would stop and say things like, "So yeah, this is pleasant enough, but who is this aimed for? It's got to be aimed to the older generation, right? Only older people like this kind of music and stuff."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, you idiot, like get a damn clue. This is a band, all right? People that don't get it just piss me off. Like I said, it's multiple generations are into this band. Name an other artist out there. Is there any other artist out there that can appeal to kids, have younger kids like 15 and under age 10 that are getting into their music at shows with their parents, their grandparents? You got younger kids, teenagers that love this band, older people, middle-aged people, millennials, Generation X, Generation Y, Z, all of them. The whole alphabet loves this band. And when I saw these people talking like this, it pissed me off at first. But then I started watching more and getting some opinions. And I said, so I reached out. If you guys don't mind, can I just go through a couple of quick things with you?
Please.
Here's a 33-year-old person. Now, this restored my faith in millennials, X, Y, Z, whatever. And that I'm in touch with through the Beatles world. 33 years old. I genuinely enjoy it, and it has become quite the earworm. I found myself singing snippets of it throughout the day. While it's not Let It Be, that's okay, because it's not meant to be. Without delving too deeply, I interpret it as the culmination of the ongoing musical conversation that John and Paul had over the years, both in and out of the Beatles. In a way, it's an inadvertent response from John to Paul's Here Today. It serves as the final Beatles song, but in my mind, the perfect conclusion to such a beautiful collaboration. Right? So that's a 33-year-old.
That millennial was switched on then, wasn't he?
Yeah. I have another one too, but I'll save it for later in the broadcast. I don't want to overwhelm you. But I have a late 30s person who also responds.
Please don't forget. Don't forget. Okay, because we could get like bogged down.
But that restored my faith that you get some nitwits who have no clue of the impact of the Beatles musically, socially, culturally, pop culture. But then that restored my faith, and a few others that I heard from restored my faith that there are a lot of people from every age category and generation that do get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've only got to go to one of Paul's gigs to see the range of ages of people that are there.
Good point.
You've got people that are the same age as Paul in their 80s, and their children who are now in their 60s, and people in the 40s, and people bringing their children, their grandchildren, and all across the board. And what absolutely gets me when I watch videos of these is when I see like a young kid who's 12 or 13 or something like that, and they know every word to sing along with All My Loving or something like that. I think that is good parenting, I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, tomorrow I'm going to be putting up a video of something that happened today I when I was going to a store where they had happened to have now and then, right? I picked it up on the clear vinyl. I go in there and there's a young woman in there, turned out to be 20 years old, and she was there with her dad, and she was looking through Rolling Stones albums and talking about how young Mick Jagger used to look, right? And that's what started the conversation. So I got to talking to her and to him, and what a fan she is of the Beatles. What a fan she is of the Stones, of the Doors. Also, yes, there's a whole bunch of things, and she was so interesting, and the way she talked was so eloquent that I said, "Would you mind if I recorded this for my channel?" I told her I had a channel. She said, "Oh, sure,"
Mhm.
and I recorded a little bit of it. It's a
Oh,
short
great.
video, a few
That'll be
minutes.
awesome. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I got I felt so good about this. Whenever there's a
Hmm.
young person that's so into it like that,
Yeah.
now again, people think I'm knocking Taylor Swift. I'm not. Here's the thing, real quick. Taylor Swift, she's a real big. She's big, big. We know that. In case you didn't
She's the
know,
biggest selling artist right now.
you know,
So
she is,
Hmm.
tremendous. We know this. Um, and I've never really heard of music. The only thing I've heard is a cover of Last Christmas that she did, which I thought was good.
that's one
So
more
I,
than me.
yeah, and from what I hear, she's very talented, and it's good music for today, and everything. But anyway, when I asked her about Taylor Swift, she's like, "Yeah, it's not my thing." So
Yeah.
that's the point. So you don't really, you don't know, really. And there's a lot of people like this. I'm not saying these people are going to be the majority in their say high school, but they're a niche. But there's always enough,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
There's always enough to keep going. Look, because I heard the same thing. Somebody was saying in a comment that the Beatles. I think it was Pop Go the '60s. Actually, somebody told me Pop Goes the '60s. Matt, his Matt name's Matt also, right?
Williamson. Matt
And yet
Williamson.
was saying, I didn't see it, but somebody told me he had said, I think the Beatles thing is stopping more. I'm only paraphrasing here, so please,
Mm.
don't take me exact words, but something to the effect of, I think it's dying down, the younger generations. And I heard
Mm.
this stuff in 1976
Mm.
when I was in school, and Kiss was really breaking out big, and it was all about Kiss and everything. And it's like the Beatles, they broke up 6 years ago, you know, and all this stuff. Get with it and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. I've been hearing it. They're never going to die. The one album was the biggest selling album of the decade of the 2000s.
Mm.
Okay, and I hope this does as well. But
Highest selling act of all time, estimated 600 million sales. The Beatles.
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
that
well,
doesn't surprise.
1976 was my year. That was the year when I discovered the Beatles. 1976.
Yeah, I discovered them early. Discovered them earlier and liked
Mm.
them earlier, but I kind
Mm.
of tape it off. In the
Hmm.
'60s, I kind of knew of them and liked them, but I tape it off, and then I got back into them around that. That's when I was heavily.
Mm.
It was like nostalgia Beatles. It was they were the rock and roll music album and so forth. So that
Mm.
kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
There's so
But
many
I did like a
outlets.
video today. Taylor Swift. The Beatles replaced Taylor Swift at #1 on Spotify. I like that.
Yes, yes, and I had somebody tell me, well, for your information, it was only in the UK, and it was only for 2 days. And I said, I'll take that
I'll
60
take
years
it.
later. Okay, 60 years later, that's a pretty big achievement.
Well,
For the
maybe Tony can speak to this. The Independent in the UK
Oh yeah,
said that the song is on track to top the singles chart after outselling the rest of the top five combined in its opening weekend. If they do get #1 in the UK, it'll be their first in 54 years and their 18th #1, I think it said. Does that
yeah.
make sense? Is the Independent legit, Tony?
Yeah. So the Independent, like they're called the Independent because most of our newspapers either follows, either supports Labour or Conservative, like politically, and the Independent is called that because it doesn't. It's a more rounded
Hmm.
newspaper, and it's a kind of a it's not a tabloid. It's a broadsheet type newspaper, or it used to be. So yeah, it'll be the first #1 since Ballad of John and Yoko, I guess, if it gets
Hmm.
there.
Mm.
well, that would be nice. And I just want to say one other thing. My dear friend, I say that sarcastically, Martin McGrath. who's not here. It looks like it's
No.
probably maybe too late. I don't
There's
know.
too
He
many
was on,
positive people here for Martin
Oh,
McGrath.
yeah, yeah, and
he was on my stream today.
yeah. He
Yeah.
said to me something about when I said, "Oh boy, I did the video like Matt was saying about Taylor Swift and everything." And this and that says it's funny. I knew somebody was going to say it, so I was prepared. That's how I think. I've always been like that. I'm ready for you. So he's the first one, of course, that says something like, "Oh, you." And again, I'm paraphrasing here because people say I didn't say that word, but he's implying that I'm a hypocrite because I'm always saying, "Oh, Spotify isn't the be all and end all. That means nothing to. That's nothing like Billboard was." And this and that and the other thing. So now, why is Spotify so important? And I said to him because this is my opinion. I think it's right, though. Too. Tell me if it's a fact. The difference is now the Beatles and Taylor Swift, right, are both on the same playing field.
Hmm.
2023, they have releases out the same year, brand new, and
Yeah.
they were both entitled to use Spotify, iTunes, all the things that they do. Whereas the stuff in the 1960s that the Beatles did, obviously, it's not level playing field. So that's why I say it means nothing that somebody today gets a lot of hits and everything. Because if the
Right.
Beatles could have
Well,
done that in their
we
time, they'd have
Well,
hundreds.
Joe, I
right.
think you said once
The
a couple of years
thing,
ago that the Beatles would have 200 songs on
Yeah, that's what I'm
Spotify.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
the thing on Spotify. When you drop an album on Spotify, they're all eligible to be hit singles.
right.
Whereas, back in our day,
Mm.
single was a single and that was it, just one song.
Yeah.
That makes sense, Tom. Yeah, because
Mm.
all these artists brag about, oh, I have so many top 10
Yeah,
hits.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
because your whole album is eligible. That makes sense.
Well,
Beatles didn't have that option.
Right. So if anybody
right.
gets that, well, if they had, it would be more of a level playing field. But right now, just releasing a band. It's funny to think of the Beatles in a way as a 2023 band, releasing a new single.
Yeah.
You
Mm,
know, right?
yeah,
And I
just
had
saying
one.
those words is crazy.
I'm sorry, I don't want to. I'm taking too much of this up again, but it reminds me of another interesting story. At my record store, another record store today, there's a guy who has a channel. He told me you could mention. He said you could mention me if you like. Alan Rosenberg. He's got a channel, and he's a big Rolling Stones fan. And when I went into the store, he said, "I got to tell you." First thing he said is, "This Beatles song, I like it a lot." I love Hackney Diamonds. It's my it's
Me
my new
too.
favorite album. The new album, Hackney Diamonds.
Oh, I'll piss you off a little bit.
Oh, no, no,
Hey,
no! I
look at
saw your video.
that.
I saw your video. No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, that's
I know it's
no.
I know it's ugly, but it's unique.
I like Boston because I hate the Yankees. I'm a Mets
Mm.
fan, so I'm okay with
Right.
that. I root for Boston. But anyway, so this guy was saying, "Oh, I love the Beatles video. Oh, it's great. It's this. It's technically, it's brilliant, and I love the song." I know he really was praising. I knew there was going to be a but in there, and he goes, "I love
But
the video. I love the song." He goes, "But," he says, "it's not the Beatles." And this is the next thing we're going to talk about. He goes, "It is not the Beatles. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I'm old fashioned. It's a Frankenstein creation. It is not the Beatles. He falls in that camp. Not,
Mm.
which is going to be the next thing I want to talk about." And then he says, "And you know what?" He says, "The Rolling Stones." With their new album is great. He loves it, and I said, so do I. I can't. I've praised this thing enough. I love it from start to finish. The Rolling Stones album. It's in my top right now. My top 10 albums of all time by anybody. I like it that much. And he says, I was saying, this is when the Stones, he said, are going to get their Grammy. They're going to get a Grammy. Now the Beatles are going to get it. He says, that's another thing, because the Beatles are going to take it again. And I said, well, maybe they'll get Song of the Year or something, and the Stones will get
Song of the
Album of
year,
the Year.
album of the year, or something. Yeah.
But anybody?
I think there's a good chance that Peter Jackson might get Video of the Year.
Hope so.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Well,
Yeah.
that would be a great double if we got Video of the Year and Song of the Year got
Wouldn't that be something to see?
a couple of
The
Grammys
Beatles
for
and
that. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And I hope there's if that happens, there's good representation from Camp Beatles at the ceremony.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting this up because Lee asked this a few times, hoping I would see it. I
I,
did see it, Lee, but it's hard.
I
It was
did.
hard.
Yeah, I thought that a little bit. I didn't hear too much, but the vibe of it reminded me of that. But I didn't think it was the actual melody. Maybe I'm off.
right.
Did any of you guys think? That,
No, because I mean
didn't spot
that's the
I
I
did
mean
spot it.
plus that came
yeah,
first because that's George strumming on
yeah.
the
that.
acoustic guitar at the beginning of the song. So
Mm.
actually now and then reminds you as Longtail Winter Bird.
Hmm.
Okay. I guess so. Well, I want to see. There's so many comments, of course, that I missed.
While you look at comments real quick, they say Now and Then has reached #1 on U.S. iTunes. Did anyone else hear that?
Number one on
And
U.S. iTunes.
Rolling
I
Stone
heard iTunes.
magazine
Yeah.
has said that Now and Then is the final masterpiece they deserve. That's from Rolling
Hmm.
Stone, who I don't care for Rolling Stone much anymore, but from
Me either, but that's a
recent
true
years.
statement.
But
Rolling
Well,
Stone
I
gave it a good review, actually, the
I
song.
yeah.
don't like them, but I like that statement. Final masterpiece
Yeah.
they deserve.
Mm.
Well, with the whole Frankenstein argument, look, they've done it before.
Yes, you
Okay,
said that to the guy, Alan.
they, yeah, they've done it before. I mean, look at something like "Happiness Is a Warm Gun," right? Three segments of songs. I mean, there's others. The medley, right, with Mean Mr. Mayo and Polythene Pam, and she
You
came in
missed the
through the
Mayo.
bathroom window.
Me,
Yes,
Mr. Mustard, and
yes,
Mayo,
People
and
are start
yeah,
getting to the point where
yes,
people are forgetting it's mustard.
right. It's. I mean, that was Frankenstein together. So
But I
it's
put the
it's
yeah,
nothing new.
yeah,
It's
good
nothing
point,
new.
Tom.
I
Uh,
distracted
uh,
him.
apart from anything else, I mean, the whole Frankenstein thing is it's no different to doing overdubs. They did
Right.
overdubs all the time. It's just the same thing. It's just one person will go in the booth and redo the bass part or do a vocal, and they'd record it separately, and then
Right.
they'd mix it in with the rest. George Martin would mix it in with the rest of the track.
Mhm.
Bringing in a cassette, or bringing in, Ringo's doing his drums at his place and Paul's doing his bass in the UK.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's no different to being in the studio, but just going into the booth and doing an overdub. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
gotta
if you
say,
and if you're
Uh,
if you're somebody that likes the Love Project, I mean that's a
Yeah.
Frankenstein project as
yeah.
well.
yeah.
And
Love it.
during COVID, many artists out there, musical artists, said that they basically did it in that manner where, like, one guy would be, when we were all in lockdown a few years ago, drums, he did it at his house. The guitarist did his part at his house. They did that. And then they put it all together and mixed it.
Yes.
Same
Yep.
thing. Good
Ringo's
point,
still
guys.
doing that,
I
sending
just want
files and stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
gotta mention this. Why I got two of them, I think. That's the same one I just showed. Yeah. Thank you,
Oh.
Joel. I appreciate that. The new Stones album isn't really a Stones album, as it only has two original members on it, and the Beatles song is a Beatles song. It has all four members on it.
No, that's
Yeah,
not
if you
true.
look at him.
Bill Wyman's
Bill
on it as
Wyman's
well.
on it. Also,
Yep.
Charlie Watts
Yeah.
is on a
Mhm.
couple of
Yep.
tracks,
The only thing that
and
bummed me out was there was no Mick Taylor. I wish he had been on it somewhere,
Mm.
but what are you gonna do?
yeah, and Ron Wood. Well, I mean, the Stones are different from the Beatles. I've always thought I loved it. My second favorite band probably, but I just I don't know. I always think the Beatles you got to have John, Paul, George, and Ringo as the members of the Beatles. I'm not saying they got to be on every track because they weren't. Yesterday only had Paul on it. Ballad of John and Yoko only has John and Paul
Yeah.
on it, and
Paul.
Mhm.
Yeah.
other tracks.
But I think when they were a working band back in the 60s, it was perfectly acceptable that you would have you could have one, two, or three Beatles on a track and it would still be a
Right.
Beatles song. I think after the Beatles have finished as a working band, to be a Beatles song, you have got to have all four. So otherwise you get into the realms of things like All Those Years Ago or I'm the Greatest or something like that, which aren't Beatles songs. But if you've got all four of them on the track, then it is a Beatles song.
Mm. Well, I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't think it has to be like if for any reason, say they couldn't have George on this, maybe they had nothing. By the way, it reminds me, I'm going off. For me, I knew they were going to do the harmonies from Because and kind of work them in here. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. That's another thing I didn't like.
They
But
work so well.
they
They
work
work
very
so
well.
well.
I was afraid of this. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
personally, I'm not the most musically talented here, but I mean, I, I don't immediately think, oh, that's a
Mhm.
blatant. It's so blatantly Because I mean, I hear it. I can hear it.
Yeah.
But however, whatever they did to me, it somehow it makes it its own too. Does that make any
Mhm.
sense within this? It's not like
Yeah.
blatantly
Yeah.
right. You know.
No, it's very subtle the way they were used. That's not to throw a cheap plug out there, but that's why I made my Frankenstein video, a goofy video, a couple of videos back, because I had that fear: is this going to be a Frankenstein's monster? Is there going to be all this
Right.
stuff pulled in? All there's
Well,
that Beatles
you
song. Oh, there's a
know,
part from that Beatles song, and I think it's subtle. I don't think you really. I think it fits perfectly.
I mean, I think there's truth to it. I mean, you can call it a Frankenstein, yeah, sure, but it
But they've
works.
done that. They've done things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
right,
what was Frankenstein then?
right.
Whatever that was, they always did that. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm,
and yes,
mhm.
George is actually playing, but a guitar on it,
Yes,
but not much.
yes. If you listen to your, I think it's the right speaker. If you're listening to it on headphones at the 141 mark, you'll also hear some really funky George guitar playing,
Mm.
little bit buried
Yeah,
in there.
Tom, if I can clarify, is that right before the chorus starts to soar? You hear this little
I
lick,
believe so.
and then
Yeah,
right
yeah.
before the second chorus, you hear another little
Chorus,
like
you hear,
fill.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
And
yeah,
You pretty. I was hoping that
yeah.
was George. It sounds like
Yeah, it
it
was
could be.
George. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very
Yeah,
subtle, and I
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to kind of believe, in the making of documentary, you hear Paul at one time say, "Listen to what George is playing," and I'm sure that's what he's talking about. He's talking about that little
Mhm.
picky bit that he's doing. I
And
think.
once you know it's there and you hear it, you
It's you
always
know
hear
it's
it.
there. You
It's like
always
it's
hear
there,
it. Right.
and
Yeah.
it's right before both choruses, and you hear the little
Yes,
fill, and
because
you go,
now, yeah, because now I hear it on the turntable when I play the single. Where I didn't hear it
hmm
before. But then, I mean, that's why. I mean, I love listening to music with headphones. You hear everything.
right, right.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, is
See,
this time to hear from a 37-year-old?
please, please,
All right.
37 or
I thought
39.
37. All right. So
Oh,
we're in a millennial. And again, restored my faith in the younger people, the younger generation. Listened to it a bunch of times, and I think it's a very nice, beautiful sounding ballad. So much to love about it. John's voice sounds awesome. The strings give it an ethereal feel, and the mood is a nice mix of melancholy and hopeful. For me, it's a very good song. It's stuck in my head when I stop listening to it and do something else. If I wanted to nitpick, however, I wish they added a new verse or a bridge to fill it out more. Something more like with Paul's stamp on it, like in the middle part of a day in the life, though not that specifically. It would be hard for any new song to live up to the hype of this standing by itself. So it's hard to live up to the
Mm,
hype. He's basically saying people will probably be critical because it's not a lock for one of the top Beatles songs ever recorded. But if this was a cut on one of their albums, I think most everyone would love it.
mm,
So that's a positive
mm.
message from a younger
yeah, yeah,
Great.
person.
yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's very encouraging. It feels good. I mean, that person I met today made my day. I mean, I was just
Yeah, I'm
on
looking forward to
cloud
hearing
nine.
what
So,
their
Yeah, look
thoughts because
forward.
they're even younger than these good people. You know.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
look forward to
For
watching.
me, it's all about that middle, I guess, 3 minutes. Okay. I know a lot of people love it from when you start hearing Ringo drum, but for me, it really begins when you hear John and Paul sing the "Love You" bit, and then it
Mm,
just goes off, and then what happens during that guitar solo, which is my one of my least favorite bits of the song. Um, but what you hear in the background during that guitar solo again is just it's pure McCartney. It's just
Mhm.
it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, Starman
oh,
brings up
I
Strawberry
think I can
Fields.
kind of read that. Something about Strawberry
Yeah,
Fields is Frankenstein.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it
yeah.
that way, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, so I mean, because I was going to ask, we kind of covered it a lot. Is this real? Is this a Beatles song? Everybody gets into that. They got into it with the other two, "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love." Everybody has their feelings. I think it most certainly is a Beatles song. In my opinion, and mostly
Mm.
because that's what they call it when they want it. I don't know how I would feel if all four members were departed one day and then the studio just decided to just make up new Beatles songs. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know how I'd feel about it. You know.
Mm.
And
No, I agree with you. I think having the involvement of Paul and Ringo and then the family, direct
Well,
personal family of George and John makes a
let's
big difference.
let's hope we're not here when that happens.
I just leave this up to speak for itself. What can I tell you? Is that what is being said here? Yeah. Just trying to put some
No,
common sense into you.
no, Martin. We're not picking one over the other. They're both Beatles songs.
Yeah, they're both Beatles. They're both Beatles songs. Absolutely. That's what I mean. All right. Well, and then I was wondering. Well, this is not necessarily the end of the conversation here, but I was going to say, there was a little report in one of the articles I went through with Peter Jackson. I think it was the Sunday Times, maybe. If I don't quote me, where he said it's conceivable that there could be more Beatles songs. I saw that.
Really?
Now, I don't know if he
Yeah.
might have been referring to Get Back, the Get Back
Yeah.
footage,
Right.
and that is this the last Beatles song? I mean, let me say this: I think that if there was more to come later, they decided to try some more stuff out.
Mhm.
I think that would impact this song's power, how special it was, and how
Maybe.
meaningful it was. If there were more after it, this works as the last word, kind of.
Right. I mean,
But
Sorry, go on, Tom.
no. So who's to say that Olivia can't give Paul and Ringo a George demo?
Yeah,
You
but
know, you know what I mean?
if it was a George demo, then John wouldn't be on the record.
Well,
would he?
well, who's to say they don't have a rhythm guitar bit that John recorded?
Someone said.
You know,
Someone said.
somewhere.
Didn't,
someone said
uh,
on my
what I meant,
I mean, mine was recorded by just the three of them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
another.
think John was on that. So
Someone said
Oh.
on my stream today, what about if they wanted a track with John and George on to do? Wouldn't it be quite amusing if they did? How can you sleep? How do you sleep with Paul and Ringo?
Yeah,
Which is
That's
quite
funny.
fun. But there is this also came up on my stream that we saw it on during Get Back. There's lots of unreleased songs where they're already all four of them playing on them, and although in Get Back they didn't show those songs in their entirety, they just kind of
Yeah.
showed like snippets of it. There
Mm.
may be there may be recordings of the whole song that they could work on, but I just don't think that they've got the inclination to do that
Right.
now. I think this was a specific project. Paul had a thing about this song.
Yeah.
He thought it was very personal to him, and he was very determined to get this
Yeah.
song done because it was important
And
to
right,
him. I'm
and
glad that he did it.
isn't it funny how remember the bit from the ELO documentary how Paul's talking about George saying that it's effing rubbish, right? That's
Mhm.
nowhere near in the press release and the promotion for the song now, is it?
No,
right. Because he did say that. I saw a clip where he's
Yeah.
sitting there, Paul, and he's some
Right.
years ago, it seems like,
Yeah,
and he
the
says
ELO
that he goes,
documentary.
he said it was effing rubbish,
I mean,
and then
Jeff Lynne. Yeah.
and then he goes, "Oh, I just might get Jeff Lynne to finish it," kidding around. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Whoa,"
It's the Jeff Lynne documentary. Yeah.
Can I go ahead, Cone?
and I was just going to say there was a couple that I wanted to tell you guys about, and everyone that's watching, because you may not have seen it if you're not in UK, but there's a podcast that's been on BBC Sounds, and it's been a 6-parter all about the Beatles, and the 6th part was about Now and Then, and in that there was an interview with Olivia, and she said in that interview that the reason that George didn't like it was because of the quality of the tape and not something to do with the song. So that was quite interesting. And she talked about the clock and all that sort
Right.
of thing. And what was the other? Oh, no, go on, carry on. It'll come back to me. I've forgotten.
Well, I want us to add to that, though. It was refreshing, and I was relieved when I heard Olivia say that. However, then somebody else who supposedly knew George said, "Well, he told me the song was rubbish, not that," as if she was trying PR. So I really don't know. I don't know what the truth is on that. I hope it's Olivia is right.
The author too, Philip Norman, right, was on TV over on your side of the
he
pond,
slammed it, right?
saying
Yeah.
saying that no, George thought it was crap. The song was crap.
I think it's a song. Now I'm beginning to think more.
Well,
It's a song.
in that case, it's very much like his books then.
books.
Yeah,
I think we should organise a worldwide
yeah,
Philip Norman
Yeah.
book burning event.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
guys, I don't mean to be rude, but
yes.
is it close to time for me yet?
It's
When
it's
we,
it's 8 o'clock. I've got Matt,
yeah,
so he
I
has
have
to run.
to. I have to get old Dad ready for bed here. I apologize.
That's okay.
Oh,
I,
well.
I
You're
appreciate you coming up.
three legends in the Beatles world here, and I'm happy to know you all. And thank you so much for inviting me. But I got to get Dad settled here, so
That's
I'm
okay.
gonna head out.
Thank you,
Okay.
Matt. Thank you. Good
Thank you
seeing you.
so much for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Matthew
All the
Take
best,
Bye-bye.
care,
Strange.
Matt.
Matt.
All the best, Matt.
Take care.
I've
See ya.
had this comment up here for a while. Yeah, I hate when I do that and I don't address it. But the thing is, I don't know what point exactly Wink the Man is referring to that I supposedly made. Doesn't that make Give Peace a Chance and Cold, or any of us made? Doesn't that make Give
Mm.
Peace a Chance and Cold Turkey Beatles songs too? Both released while they were still together.
No,
No, they
I
were
mean,
designated as John. They were
right,
went out as John Lennon.
right. Now, people can be confused about "Give Peace a Chance" because it is credited to Lennon McCartney.
Yeah,
However, I think that was just more or less John giving thanks to Paul for
Ballad
doing
of John and
Ballad
Yoko.
of John and Yoko. Yes,
But I mean that it's a totally different thing. I mean the members that
right,
the Beatles rejected Cold Turkey. The other Beatles they didn't want to do Cold
right.
Turkey or whoever.
The
Paul.
other Beatles rejected Carnival of Light, right?
Yeah, yeah. So John said, "Screw it, I'll do it as Plastic Ono Band and put it out." It's a John song. It's when it was a John song. When it was released as "Give Peace a Chance" is released as a John song. I mean, it's a big difference. This is all of them getting together and saying, "I'm going to put this out. We want to put this out as the Beatles. We're going into the studio to record as the Beatles." For this track, you can do that. You can reunite. Not, I believe, in my opinion, not everything has to be, oh, I got to have a long-standing 10-year contract. We are the Beatles. We sign as the Beatles. You can go in and say we're going to make a record and we're going to be the Beatles and play it, make it a Beatles song for one record or two records. I think. Anybody? I
Mm,
feel funny. No backing.
yeah.
But anyway. Well, thank you again, Joel. Do you ever think Ringo and Paul could do some music with John and George's kids? I could, but I don't think they
Here's
would.
the thing: how long has it been since starting with Julian Lennon, have they been making music? I think they're purposely not working with the kids because I think all of us would look maybe a little too much into it. So I mean, they've had decades to work with the Beatles children, and maybe they, you know, they
Yeah, and they
have.
haven't yet. And I thought I saw a
Yeah.
question addressed to Tone, but I can't find it. Did you see it, Tone?
I didn't actually. No.
Sorry if you can
Oh.
repeat it. I can't find it now. Um, um, and nobody said it here in this particular one, but
Well, you.
people. I'm sorry, hold that thought. People have said um, before about, well, John didn't like high school reunions, and John was like through with the Beatles and all the. And I keep saying, so were the other. Paul said. I even quoted it here. Somebody said, "You can't reheat a souffle." He used
Mm,
to say the Beatles split in '69, and since then they've been doing fine. And if that question doesn't cease, ain't nobody gonna get no peace. He was trying to
No
do a
peace.
Muhammad Ali kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then they all changed. And Ringo was like, no Beatle questions. I do an interview. The Beatles
Right.
get one line. Caveman, no, excuse me, Caveman gets one line. My movie, and everything else is 20 years ago. And it's like, they
People,
change.
yeah. People that say that about John Lennon are not researchers, they're not historians. They have no idea whatsoever about the John Lennon going back and forth, with things like that.
And I was quoting you, Martin McGrath. So that's Tom talking about. Tone, I'm sorry about before. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say. Well, first of all, I've seen the comment that I think is to me. It's from Laura and me, and it's just sort of disappeared off the off the comments. But what I was going to say is something else that came out in that podcast. It's called Eras. If you want to go and listen to it, if you can get access to the BBC, was they were saying that the tape that that Yoko gave to Paul was like a third generation tape. So when you record tape to tape,
Right.
and because I guess they wanted a copy for their own, for their own storage, and then they recorded from that to another tape to give to Paul. So he had a third generation tape. So Giles Martin said, this isn't good enough. We need the original tape, because each time you do tape to tape, it degenerates a little bit. So Sean provided the actual original tape to
Excellent.
Giles Martin. I didn't know that, and that was something that came out in that podcast that I just wanted to share. So bit more. We're gradually building up a picture of everything that's happening, and what I'd really love to see a making of the video documentary.
Yeah,
Put that together. That
a lot
would be
of
fantastic.
a lot of footage. On this thing about if it's the last song or not, I thought I'd be the last one to say this, but they could conceivably do another Beatles album. And but I personally don't think Paul would be behind it. Like he would get behind that. I don't think he'd really want to do that. Anybody? I can't see him say, "Let's do one last Beatle album. Let's do this. We can finish these songs, me and Ringo, and we could put everything like they did with this." But because I don't think they want a chance that it would be a flop.
No.
Ruin the legacy. This is the perfect ending.
It is. It is. As I say, I think that if they wanted to, there's plenty of material there that they could probably work on and finish. I just don't think they've got the inclination to do it. They're in their 80s now, and Paul's got his own stuff to do. Ringo's doing his stuff.
Yep.
I just don't think that they've got the inclination to do a whole album. I think this is a one-off project.
Yeah,
This is it.
And it's done
As
now.
Kenny Loggins once said.
Glad they did it, and the curtain is down, I think.
Look at this. And no matter how many times you try to explain, the thing about Martin is no matter how many times you try to talk sense to him or make him change his stance or see things from a different perspective, he's just never going to stop. John's dead, George is dead, so this is not a Beatles song either, right? Exactly. Okay. Get lost. Let's see. Well, of course, this goes without saying. I hope they're going to do that anyway. Live tracks. They got to make a live album, a good new live album, and with whatever they can, fix the Hamburg. Now, I was skeptical about the Hamburg stuff. Now I'm thinking that he can do it. So.
Yep. Peter Jackson is done making movies. It's all Beatles work from here on out.
Yes, let's have it that way. I don't like your movie. Sorry. Well, I didn't see Lord of the Rings. I didn't like Dead Alive, otherwise known as Brain Dead, a stupid comical horror movie.
What about Bad Taste?
That's another one.
Bad
All I
Taste
remember.
Bad Taste.
Don't do it. But don't do it. But all I remember is the video box with a monster flipping the bird. Or something. So I'm like, no, that's comical. That's all right.
Yeah.
And anyway, but yeah, I like what you're doing with the Beatles, though. Yeah, I like that. So Paul looks tired. I don't know.
Oh, was that after he just got done with a 3-hour concert?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, they're pretty. Both of these guys are pretty amazing. Where we're going, Paul.
Incredible. I mean, for his age, he's just so fit. He just goes out and does that 3-hour set, flies all over the world. I'm not worried about Paul at the moment.
Yeah. I've been drinking more water here during this live stream than Paul does.
He's so slim, and
last two people we should worry about is Paul and Ringo right now.
My question is the ABBA show in the UK. I keep hearing people talking about it.
No,
that Beatles concert
never happened.
What is it? I haven't heard. There is talk. There is talk that maybe all bands that don't, tour anymore or are not together anymore could have this sort of show. There's this show in London. It's I haven't seen it because I'm not an ABBA fan. But it's basically I don't even know what you call it. Is it CGI or whatever? Where you're seeing videos of each member and they've filmed them doing their movements, but they've put them in the clothes that they wore in the 70s ABBA, and they're doing the songs. I can't imagine that there would be a Beatles thing for that. And it's really expensive to go to. It's over £100 to go and watch a video, basically.
I'm going to put a link up here. If anybody that's watching that, you know who you are, can come up here. That's fine. Quarry, like to hear the Quarrymen. That'll be the day, and in spite of all the danger, all that stuff. I'll follow the sun and everything. But the problem is, if I like to hear that in clear quality, but maybe they could replay. Somebody else could play on it because some of those are really bad. I'll follow the sun guitar solo. Here I go again. Some of that's not too good. They were young when they were doing that, and they weren't really, I don't know, at their best. I don't want to hear just anything if it's going to ruin the legacy. um, uh, let's see, only Downer. Yeah, people are talking about Ringo's clothing in this new video. I didn't nothing.
He could have made an effort, couldn't he?
Hey, Tim Allen's joining us. Hey, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Tim,
Hello, everyone.
Thanks very much.
greetings.
What do you have to? You've been watching this for a while, or just
Yeah,
getting
I've been watching since the beginning. Yeah.
any
I've been watching
anything in
twice.
particular you want to add to, or you were thinking about, or anything that maybe?
Unlike a lot of, I don't love the song. I think it's good.
Mhm.
And I think my main comment is I think it's better than it has any right to be. Hearing the demo, I'm shocked that it came out as good as it did. I think it shouldn't even be this good. So I mean that I guess that's pretty good praise, really. I like it.
Mm.
I didn't get emotional. Maybe I don't have a heart. I don't know. I got more
I don't
emotional
know.
watching the making of than the actual video.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought there was a little too much CGI John and George in the video, maybe, and it was a little too silly. I don't know, but I mean, it was good. It was very entertaining.
You know, I remember somebody saying in one of my comments, I got something like, "Oh, why'd they make John look do such goofy things? Like, where'd they get this stuff from? You know, why'd they put this in the video?" It's because from another video, from
It's from
Hello
the whole
Goodbye,
goodbye
most.
video. Most of the footage is from the whole goodbye video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it already exists.
Yeah.
They used it already. Him being goofy in 1967 when they made it. You know.
Right, and I
Uh,
like the image of John too, where he's standing in front of the Sergeant Pepper musical on the marquee there. That was a nice
Oh yeah.
touch as well.
There you go, Tim. That's for you.
Yeah.
Didn't you get more emotional in '95 with "Free as a Bird"?
I, maybe because the Free as a Bird has the added advantage of having all the clues in it, which is fun. You know, with the song references and all of that. It's a lot more to it, but it's way better than the Real Love video for me. Way better.
Mm. Well, anyway, I don't know. It's a comment here about Oasis. I don't know about the Oasis albums, so
Yeah, I do. I know that album, Stop the Clocks.
um, let's
It's a
see.
hits album. No, it's not.
Okay, anybody else have any thoughts or comments? I'm still trying to. I don't know about this at all. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, this video blows both those videos away. Even "Free as a Bird" video. I mean, this is, you know, "Free as a Bird." I watched it. I thought, oh, interesting in '95 or whatever what they could do, the imagery and stuff. But it didn't affect me anything like this. You know, I forgot about. I never think of those videos. "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love."
I love
Yeah.
Free as a Bird, but I think videos are different now too. Videos told a story back then. Free as a Bird kind of tells a story. Videos don't tell stories now, not really. They just are videos, so it's a different mindset.
Oh well, of course. I hope that's going to happen. We've talked about that many times. You know, remixing or putting out the deluxe editions from everything. Please, please me through the Rubber Soul, and it should
There's
be a
still more
priority.
money to be made. There's
Yeah,
still more money to be
it's
made.
always money's a big thing. As I say, my whole thing is not that I'm denying things are cash grabs. It's just that it's okay. It's part of the business. They want to make money. Something sells. You want to make more money, and you want to figure what else you can do to make money. And you always say, I'm not buying it. Yeah,
There's
but
lots of things they can do if they wanted to. I mean, I thought the other day I was thinking that an interesting idea for the Beatles would be an EP box, not the UK EP box, but a worldwide EP box, because there's a lot of strange couplings of songs out there. A lot of
Mexico, there's Mexican
interesting,
EPs.
with a lot
yeah,
of Brazil, Spain, France, with a
Yeah.
lot of interesting songs and a lot of interesting covers, which would make an interesting box set.
yeah, it'd be very interesting box set. But don't put it out because for me, I want my originals, the ones I have, to
Uh,
be like collectible. No,
well, they'd
but
still be collectible.
I
Nobody,
guess because
well,
they're originals.
yeah. But I mean, there's so many that you'd never ever see in person in real life, and be an interesting box set.
I wish there was some way of how do you call it de-editing. I should have put the spray in. I didn't. De-editing the "She Loves You" song because ever since it was explained to me, I forget when I first heard it. I don't know if it was in the Past Masters set or whatever about where the edits are. I hear them all the time. "She Loves You" is my favorite Beatles song. If I got to pick one, because I like the early Beatles the best, and I think "She Loves You" is like pure Beatlemania and early Beatles. But I keep hearing it like different takes when I listen to it and stuff now or whatnot.
Well, there
So
is a way.
I think we should Frankenstein Woodland Goblin is what I think.
how about the
You
Swan
could
45?
no, you could take She Leap Dig, which is a completely different
Uh,
take of the song, and just pull the music from that and put the
nah,
lyrics over.
yeah, I don't like the sound of that as much
I'm
as the
just
other
saying
one.
that's the way, though. That's the way to do it, because that's one take.
Yeah, but I don't like. I can tell it's a different. The
Yeah,
instrumentation is
yeah, it's a
different. I
different
don't like it.
take, but it's a way to do it.
Yeah.
It's the only way,
Oh,
really.
let's talk a little bit about that. There was all this about Pete Best was supplied the early home movie footage, but that stuff we've seen before. That little
I
snippet.
heard that stuff's already been out.
Yeah, well, I thought
Oh,
I've seen
really?
that already. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
I'd seen it before. It says that,
I
yeah, I don't
hadn't
think
seen
it's.
it, but I mean, maybe it was out as bootleg somehow. How do people do this stuff? I don't know.
I hope it's killer. I really do. There's not a lot of love. I mean, I've heard 50-50 stuff about "Love Me Do" on the
I like it.
the new one. You like the new "Love Me Do"?
Yes, I think it breathes. If you know what I mean. I think there's depth in it that I've never heard before. That there's some
Yeah, I
breathing
What?
like
room.
it.
It's not so constricted, and I like it.
Okay, Beatly Tone, you like it
Yeah,
too?
I do. I do, but because we've only ever had mono versions of it before. It's not one of those songs that's going to benefit the most from the sort of the demixing and remixing
Uh huh.
process, because it's not one of those songs that's got vocals on one side and music on the other side, because when you listen to mono records on stereo equipment, you hear the same thing on both speakers, so it sounds balanced. But I think the harmonicas really clear. The bass sounds lovely, and you get the clapping in the speakers.
Yeah, I heard that's one thing I picked up because I only got to listen to again. I get hypocrite. I don't like listening to things through the phone and everything, but I was away, in
Yeah.
Oklahoma, so I had to listen to this. But I put the earbuds in, so I got separation. I could hear the hand claps. Everything. I thought it was a little too heavy bassy for me, but I'll listen to it on the. I like a lot of bass though, so what the hell am I complaining about? But just more than I'm used to it, I guess. I don't know, but I want to hear it on an actual record. I have the record. I play the record.
So, but some of the criticisms I've heard are people saying, that they should hear something that's not in the left channel in the right, and vice versa. And that's what we've been not liking for all these years. There are people that
Mm.
want to put it the way that it shouldn't be. And I'm like, you're just silly.
Well, I want the vocals centered, whatever they did. Do not on this
Yeah.
one, but I mean,
and the drums and the
and the
drums.
drums, the drums
Yeah.
centered.
Drums
I
in the
mean,
center, like you're watching them live.
You
That's
know,
how a band sets up when you go and see them live.
Let's see. Uh, who we got here? Somebody. I don't know who this is. Do I know you? Did I ever talk to you before? I forget.
Hmm.
Maybe not. I'm sorry. I'm only putting people up that I know. No offense or anything, because you don't know. We've had some things happen before, so hope you understand. It's nothing personal. What's this? Obviously you sent me a private message.
Yeah,
Should I take the chance, folks? He's like,
I don't know.
Give him
hello.
5 seconds.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm sorry, the sound wasn't working too good. Plus, I could hear IR sharpening his knives. So, if anybody saw, he's got a video up of something that had. Sorry, Noah, it's hard to hear you. So, tried. Um, where are we up to? Help me out, guys. It's getting quiet in here. Feeling their mortality and wanted to do something for John and George. Yeah, I think so.
But the
Well,
legacy is already secured. I mean, they
yeah.
didn't
Tell
need
that
to
to
do
Paul.
this.
Tell that to Paul.
Well, yes,
These,
yeah.
you know.
I really think it goes back to that Jeff Lynne documentary that Paul really
Yeah,
did
yeah.
want to do
Really
something with
want
this
to do
all
this.
these
Yeah.
years.
Yes.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
think after Peter Jackson made that video that he uses live with I've Got a Feeling, that Paul realized that we could use this and fix this. And I think that's the whole genesis of it.
Wish Klaus Vorman could have done the cover for Now and Then. Would have been great. Yeah, everybody's been saying how the cover stinks, and everything. And I agree. I mean, I saw this the first time. I was like, oh, come on, man! With all the things photos, magic they could do here, age the Beatles, de-age the Beatles, whatever they're going to do, things, put them on the balcony today or whatever they're going to do. This is what they give you. But it's funny that even though I still am not defending the cover, I'm sorry, now that I like the song, I'm like, hey, maybe this is like just says it. Boom, that's it. But
I,
It
I'm just thinking if
is
it's supposed to
the
depict
weakest
the
split.
I was just thinking if they're going to if they want it to depict the balcony, then just put them on the balcony. Put an old picture and a young picture now
I
and then
wouldn't.
job
yeah,
done.
yeah,
I'd say
It
just
would have
put the
been better.
balcony up there without them on there at all. Just do the
at
balcony.
all, empty
That might
balcony.
be
Yeah.
what they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Hi Noah, how you know in the
it's
comments?
just
Sorry about
gray.
that. At
Maybe if
first,
it was a better color, it's just
Yeah. Or maybe they
gray.
just could have put a picture of Frankenstein on there.
Mm.
Since it was
And like I said, even
since it was
even
a.
the hype sticker is boring. I mean,
Yeah.
the hype stickers. Hey, be thankful the hype sticker at least says the Beatles on it.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
it's
at least
just
put their
boring.
name on it.
I
Joanne.
just I think it should have been, a picture of him like every 15 years or something. John earliest
Oh,
maybe, and
there
then
was a lot of
George,
things.
and then
Come on, they could have done a lot of creative things.
you know something.
Yeah,
Apparently, the artist that did that, he's got an exhibit in New York right now, and the exhibit is called Now Then.
Oh, but he also did the McCartney 3 cover
Right.
too,
Right.
right?
Well,
But
wow.
I do want to say that I want to just see. Joanne says, quite frankly, this is her opinion. If you have nothing but criticism for Now and Then in the video, you're not really a true Beatles fan. This week has been a gift, and I, for one, am incredibly grateful. I know what you're saying. It's hard for me to conceive. And it's tough to get. You got to like tiptoe around this because I'm not criticizing anybody, but I
No.
just don't understand it. You see what I mean? I don't understand. I can't comprehend or conceive how true Beatle fans are not really like somewhat moved by this. They're not to the point where they can't sleep at night. They're so gushing, but have some kind of like positive effect to this, or
Yeah.
emotional effect.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
art. All art is subjective. All art is
Yes.
to
yeah.
be criticized if that's the case.
Yeah, I just don't comprehend. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're talking about," or stuff like that. I just, and So I know a couple of people of a couple of people that I found out, that didn't do much for them at all, really. And but as far as forget all that, if I may say, as far as the actual hoopla of this and the fanfare and the Beatles being like a thing again right now, which we didn't have for a long time. Some people said they felt it with Anthology when it came out and something like that. This is pretty exciting time to be a Beatles fan for the moment. For another week or so or two, because we're gonna get the red and the blue coming out,
Yes.
and that's a whole nother discussion. Right?
The
So,
machine, the wheels keep turning.
Yeah, I mean, I think people
yeah,
got the right to not like a record, but you kind of get these sort of people, Joanne, that are like, they consider themselves to be purists, so they don't accept anything after 1970. A bit like you've got some Stones
yeah,
fans that don't accept anything after Brian Jones died, and
yeah, yeah.
things like
Right.
that. So you get people like that. But I kind of, any true Beatles fan has got to be happy, that we've got this. That what we've had delivered this week has been fantastic. To say it's not, it's never going to be a Strawberry Fields, but
You don't know. No, I doubt it though. See, at this stage, I doubt it. The Stones, yeah, the
but the thing,
Stones had stuff on
the
that
thing,
album
the
that are
thing,
among the best.
the thing is that it's hard to judge where this is going to sit eventually, uh, alongside the back catalogue, because we've had those records, those songs we've lived with for decades and decades, and we've loved them for decades and decades. This we've had for 2 days, and we don't know where, if eventually in 10, will it stand the test of time, and where will it sit in 10 years, say, when we've had it in 10 years, maybe.
Mm.
The Beatles tone from the last official chart website. The Beatles' last song now on track for number one. Fab
Let's
Four's
hope so.
birthday.
This has to be
Yeah,
a number one.
we had that earlier, Matt. Yeah, well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm not even sure how they calculate the charts here these days. Where they get the
I don't
numbers
think
from.
they're sure.
No.
Yeah. Well, see,
Maybe.
that's a good point too, because listen, I don't think that they made a lot of these, physical copies of the single, right? I mean, they have to be really more or less going by the streaming services, whether or not how they're going to determine whether Now and Then becomes number one here, either here in the States or in the UK.
Do they use it all? Do they use all physical sales and
Well,
streaming?
physical sales and the streaming, yeah, combined.
I mean, in the old days, before we had streaming, it used to be all based on sales. I know in America,
Sales, right?
you used to have radio plays, used to count towards your time. Not here.
Radio
It
creeped
used to
up
be
more
record
over the
sales, and
years.
it wasn't every record shop. It was, it was a few record shops up and down the country. The big ones, the HMVs, the Virgins, those sort of stuff. Not many independent record shops, and it was only that the chart was based on, and it was just on sales.
Yeah, in America, I think it was like sales were determined by distributor sales.
Right.
However many the distributors sold, not how many the people actually bought.
Yeah.
And then radio, and over the years, radio creeped more and more and more into it.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
It might be more difficult for it to be number one in the U.S.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we don't even know what else was released at the same, last,
But the
last
U.S.
week.
is still a largely goes by radio, and it's getting zero radio play.
Well, the only thing I haven't heard anything for sure, but I don't listen to regular regular standard radio. But when I was in Oklahoma, we had to take a series of Uber cars and Lyft cars, and one guy was listening to it. He said he heard it. He was he wasn't listening to it when we were there. We talked about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, they played that today. I heard that today." So I don't know what station he's listening to, but I mean, I don't know where you would hear some. I mean, these days, where do you hear anything? I mean, what's the regular radio stations anymore?
I listen to I don't even know what it's called. It's the other weekend Beatles program. It's like brunch with the Beatles or something. I don't even know. It's been going for like 20 years, and they didn't even play it.
Yeah, Q104.3 is a
What
New
the
York
heck?
station around here. They're the ones that do breakfast with the Beatles every Sunday morning. They have like a
Okay,
two
well, if somebody's
2 hour
playing it,
show.
that's good
But
because
I know they're one of those. Believe me, I never listen to them because it's always the same. Tim, the same 10, 20 songs,
yeah,
classic rock
yeah,
songs again,
yeah. Which
over and over. But I think that's great if they're playing it. I think there's definitely a buzz in the air. I know. I mean, people are aware of it. So let me do sound at its usual self on my stereo, but with headphones, I was quite impressed with the separation.
well,
Okay.
I haven't played it physically. I just listened to it on YouTube, but my computer is hooked up to my stereo, and I heard very good separation and, like I said, depth and space, whatever you call that. I thought it was good.
Q104.3 are playing it every hour. Wow. Well, I'm
Well,
excited about it. I got to
that's
say, I wasn't looking forward to it as much as I should have because I didn't think they could do anything really good with it. I was skeptical, and I said, I hope it doesn't become a flop. And boy, it's got the Beatles sound. Some people are saying, I've heard people say it doesn't even sound like the Beatles.
Oh, blimey! It couldn't be. It couldn't be more Beatley if it had a mop top and
I,
yeah. We're in the lyrics.
the bat has arrived.
yeah,
For those people
watch
that
out,
don't
watch
think it
out.
sounds
Put that down. Put
Beatly,
it
there
down.
you go.
Put it down. No, seriously, because of these algorithm things, you'd be surprised. But seriously, yeah, I don't know what that is. That's what I say. You don't want to be nasty. Oh, what the hell are you talking about? But really, that's how you feel. It's like it's Beatles all over the place. It's got the harmonies. Well, it's lifted from Because that's the
Right.
Beatles. But I mean, it's very Beatlesque. I mean, how I don't I think, but maybe a more modern twinge. Tinge
And
twinge.
it's the forefront of technology. I mean, what was the? I mean, that's the Beatles. I mean, being out there, lovers of technology, seeing what they can do, into to the future of technology. I mean, they've always been about technology.
Yeah. Uh, I don't think I don't listen to Q104. I mean, I listen to the Breakfast with the Beatles, and they may play a new Paul song or Ringo song on there, the Breakfast with the Beatles. So does it sound too Paul solo though? I, what, the new song, does it sound too Paul solo? I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, the one part that does kind of sound wingish to me is the bit during the solo. If you listen to it, it's kind of like with the backing vocals going on. It is very
Hmm.
wingish,
I'll have
in
thanks
my
for.
opinion.
I got to put that in. You planted a seed in my head. I got to listen to it again and see what I think of that. I also got to respect Paul because for another thing, I like that he didn't feel he had to make really like step on it with his stuff. Like he didn't have to come in and do a new middle eight or something. Write a
Yeah,
new middle eight. I like it. I like it in Free as a Bird. But
yeah.
for this song, I'm glad he didn't feel he was going to do that.
I think that I think that might be one of the reasons why they left out the bit that they left out because I think there's sort of
Mm,
the I don't want to lose you is well,
mm,
firstly I think it's slightly out of tune, but then when it goes on to the use you and abuse you, then it starts la la in and there's missing
Yeah,
words there. So he would have had to have written a verse to include that. He would have had to written a verse and to sing it, and I reckon that's the reason. And it's got it's got a John Lennon credit, hasn't it? Because he hasn't really added anything
let me double
lyrically
check
to it.
that.
I think it's credited to just John Lennon. I think as the
Yeah,
songwriter.
original composition
Yeah.
by John Lennon. The
Yeah.
Beatles version by John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Mm.
Mm, that makes sense. And Jeff Lynne. It's always a back and forth thing. I like Jeff Lynne. Personally, his production. I
Yeah.
know there's people who don't. And I tell you, man, I don't get into that production stuff that much. When I listen to it, like I can listen to the Stones' new album and say that I love the production on it. Andrew Watt, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did the
Watts.
Stones album. Jeez, we're more worried about my hair. Anyway, but
No one's judging.
I tell you, it's a bitch having hair. Let me tell you. But anyway, sorry, I make that
All
joke
right.
a lot. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't
Mm.
always like listen to something and say, "Wow, what production!" Unless it really strikes me. Well, it struck me on the new Stones album, and also when I listen to like Phil Spector stuff, classic Phil Spector stuff, I could tell the wall of sound sounds distinguishable. It's a style. But a lot of times I can't tell the difference between free, and I got to listen to it again, maybe Free as a Bird and Real Love production versus this, I mean, that's me. I don't, I can't tell unless I really listen.
Mm.
Sounds a bit chaos era to me. You mean chaos and creation in the backyard?
The song
The piano
now
at
and
the
then.
beginning sounds a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Fine
Yeah.
Line or something?
Yeah. No. How kind of you, maybe.
How kind of you. I played that again recently, a week ago or so, on my trip up to that place. And, yeah, no, it's a powerful album, but I think you got to be in the mood for it. I do anyway. Um, Anybody hear any echoes of the Traveling Wilburys in the Now and Then I Miss You chorus? Seems to be a
Mm.
bit of vocal timing issues in the second line of the chorus. I'm not that technical that I could
Mm.
spot that.
A little bit Wilburish, I guess.
Uh, there you go, Doc Docus. Preach it, baby. Preach it. I don't know. Put that bit in for all the Wings fans out there.
Mm.
Yeah, what do you think? That's a good question. Do you think I do? I'll start that they should take the other songs, Free as a Bird and Real Love, and really fix them up with this
Yeah,
technology? I think so.
yeah, I think so. I can't believe they haven't been included on the red and blue. I've been told why they haven't, but I think it's a mistake because the blue, the red and blue have got every single A-side single on them now, apart from those two and
Oh,
Baby It's You, I suppose, as well.
well, Tim, you were saying you were shaking your head. You don't think they should redo them?
No, I think they're good, and I mean, and I've said this before. John liked his vocals with effects and a little bit buried, and
Mm.
that's what you get on Free as a Bird and Real Love. And I
Right.
think John would have liked that, as
Well, he
opposed
did like,
to
yeah, he did like his voice covered. He didn't.
Now and Then, which
you know.
is very out front. John didn't really do that. He wasn't.
But of course, there's plenty of Beatles songs where his voice isn't covered.
But yeah, but once he left the Beatles, he
Mhm.
changed his mind on that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want them on the Blue album personally. I want an EP is what I want. A 3-song EP, or if you can find another song, something you can use.
Carnival Light.
Yeah, I mean, Carnival. Put that the last track. You could sneak that if you want to release that thing. That's the way that you do it. You have a big hit on your hands with
Right.
that. And they do things like 2023 mix. Whatever. You have the
Right.
1995 mix and you have the 2023 mix, right? And then you just sneak Carnival Light on there, and that'll be the selling point. And plus a new
The
Beatles song,
Fireman. Yeah. The Fireman mix.
the Fireman. So all right, guys. Well, I feel bad for Tone because he's had a big live stream of his own today. So
That's all right. That's fine.
I don't know what else to say here, unless anybody has anything, or I could drag it on a little more. But
I got a cigar ready for me.
you
Waiting
got a
for me.
cigar. I'm supposed to be watching All in the Family. As I'm missing All in the Family. But seriously, I enjoy doing this. So I'll kind of like end it here. All right. So. I want to thank Matthew Street. Thank you. He was only able to come for the first hour, but we're glad that Matt came on. Thank you, Tim, for joining us later on. And thank you, Beatly Tone. Thank you, Tom Hunyadi. Don't
Thank you.
forget, talk more talk tomorrow. we're gonna be Tom and I are gonna be talking about this all over again, and it's gonna, but it's
And
gonna be
that's
different.
it. I'm doing that
You're
tomorrow
done.
night,
You're
and I'm putting it to rest for a couple weeks.
Yeah, but we're gonna have a special guest on there. I consider a surprise guest. I don't know if Kit's in the comments and wants to say that's different, but so we're gonna have. But don't forget,
Save it for tomorrow.
you still have to hear Ken Michaels, and you still have to hear Kit O'Toole give their take on these
Yep.
things. There she goes.
Yep.
Hey, Kit. So, yeah. So be sure to subscribe to everybody. Tim Allen, Two Legs, not Tom Magnotti, the Two Legs podcast, and Beatley Tones Beatles channel. And this was great. I'm really into it. I didn't think I'd be this caught up in Beatlemania 2023, and I'm really feeling it. And please be on the lookout for my video that I'm going to put up tomorrow that I took of a dad and his young 20-year-old daughter who really loved this, and in particular the daughter who's really into the Beatles and this new song and 60s stuff in general.
Awesome.
All right.
That's great.
I think I covered it all.
I
Yep.
look forward to that. That's good. Love hearing young people's views on the Beatles.
All right, everybody. So I'm going to go now, and take care. Enjoy the song. Please do try to enjoy it if you don't for some reason, because I think it's good. That's just my opinion. All right, everybody. Talk soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Beatles
Bye.
forever. Beatles forever. Right?
Bye. Yeah.
Okay. And stream, folks.